Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to share a process that players could use to get through the shots a little bit better, helping them to get to a more balanced finish. We're going to look mostly at the movement of the rib cage, but we will go over how to match up the arms, hands and club to that movement. Hopefully you enjoy this, hopefully it helps with your game. Thanks again for tuning in. So today we're going to be putting most of our attention on the movement of the rib cage, because with a lot of players getting through the shot, I see the trail side of their rib cage really get into a position where it's hard to get their arms in front of their body, making it just hard for them to have space and get to a good impact position and get through to a good finish. So that's where the focus is going to be today. And I've got a simple process that players could use to build awareness of how to create space between the rib cage and the arms. Before going to the video though, as you see here, I've got a nice little indoor space I've been using more and more for online lessons. So if you're interested in an online Zoom lesson or even a swing analysis, then go to ianmellorgolf.com and you can get my take on your game. Okay, so the exercise that I have in mind that I've shared with a couple of players is first you want to build that awareness of the rib cage position that we would want a setup. So a setup is very common to see players, I'll show you this from face on, is set up and the rib cage be in a position where it's already twisted, so it's aimed almost in front of the ball. So going into setup position, just make sure that your rib cage is in, let's just call it a neutral position, where if you got a club coming out your sternum, it's somewhat pointing straight down in the midline of your stance there, and from there you can take your grip, make sure your arm hang doesn't adjust the rib cage position. But let's make sure we're in a pretty good position to start off with, where our rib cage is neutral. And in the exercise that I have in mind, what I get players to do is to turn the club upside down, so we can actually get a sense of the club movement, but without having to manage the weight of the club head too much in this. Okay, so take your setup position. I'm actually going to get you to grip it in your trail hand and take your lead hand and almost interlace the fingers on your lead hand in between your ribs on your trail side. Okay, so I'm getting to my setup position there. I've got my hand there on that lower part of my rib cage, and as I go through backswing, I'm going to point the club head at the golf ball. And you can see that my hands are probably in between waist high, they're probably mid-torso high. So I'm going to point the club at the golf ball, and then from there moving into the, let's just say halfway down here, I'm just going to allow my tricep or my trail arm to move in front of my glove. So you can see there I've got tons of room if I do it this way. So I'm going to set up, point the club head at the golf ball, obviously going to make sure my rib cage is moving with that, and then I'm going to allow my tricep to move in front of my glove. So if I show you that from face on, see I was using the mirror there that I have there, and face on there, you can see how I get my trail elbow to my hip before my hand gets to my leg, which is an objective that I mention pretty frequently. I'm sure some of you have heard that from me before. So I'm allowing my trail arm to get in front of my glove hand there. So essentially what my glove or my glove hand is doing here is preventing the rib cage from getting into this position here, which from down the line, that would be that position. That's the area that I see a lot of players get into that really makes it hard for them to get to the impact position they want to, as well as get through the shot nicely. So once we're in this position here, I'd have players then move into an impact position, and then just simply, I would say that the next point is that once we move from here into the impact position there, which a couple of references there, obviously we've got a nice little bit of shaft lean, trail hand is ahead of the butt of the club. There, I've allowed my belt buckle to rotate, so the belt buckle points maybe a yard or two in front of the golf ball on the target line. And then from this position here, what I'm going to have you do is let your eyes follow the butt end of the club through to a halfway through finish. Okay, so that's allowing my eye movement there is driving the rotation of my upper body. So from setup here, from impact I should say, I'm just allowing my eyes to follow the grip end of the club to halfway through, and that's what's driving the rotation there. Okay, so we'll go to that all once again. So we're in a good setup position, lead hand on trail sides of the rib, pointing the club head at the ball at mid-torso height. Then we're going to go down into this position here where club is somewhat parallel to the ground. Tricep is, I've got easily 4-5 inches in between my hand here and my tricep. Into impact, and then allow the eyes to follow the grip end, the the butts of the club there through to the finish. Okay, after you've done those, then switch the club around, work through it nice and slowly. In your finish position, I have one real, the one piece of feedback I typically give players is that in their finish, get the back of their hand to point towards the target. Okay, and often in that position as well, the club will be vertical up to the sky. So this is obviously a drill. It's not a full swing. It's probably a 3/4 finish. But once you've done a few of them, pick up your club and go through them in just rehearsals first, but then at slow pace. So I often with players, I'll have them do this at say 20% speed. So nice and slow, just chipping them into the net just to build awareness. And I like to put a lot of, drive the focus or the attention of the player to how it feels straight from this position here, through here, all the way to the finish, really allowing them to get their rib cage through, because often when they get into this position here, coming in, they're having to back up or early extend or some kind of compensation to get through the shot. So once again, we're going to go here, here, impact, and then we're going to get all the way through to a nice balanced finish. And I'm going to hit this one maybe at a little bit faster speed, maybe at like 40%, so 20, 40, 60, 80%, 4 different speeds to train this in is where I would typically go.